Indonesia itu sebenarnya beruntung karena kita memiliki berbagai macam spesies satwa yang endemik dan salah satunya adalah gajah yang berasal dari Sumatera. Akan tetapi dari tahun ke tahun jumlah gajah yang kita miliki semakin berkurang ya. Sekarang saja hanya sekitar 1.200-an. Dan itu pun yang berada di alam liar jumlahnya semakin menurun karena adanya deforestasi dan penggunaan lahan untuk kepentingan manusia. Nah, pada 10 tahun terakhir saja jumlah gajah yang tewas karena mati diracun dan dibunuh itu lebih dari 100 ekor. Sehingga perlu usaha yang khusus untuk menyelamatkan dan melestarikan gajah-gajah Sumatera. Nah, Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini berada di Taro, di Bali untuk melihat salah satu upaya untuk menyelamatkan dan juga mengembangbiakan gajah Sumatera di Taro, Bali bernama Mason Elephant Park. Di sini ada sekitar 31 gajah Sumatera termasuk 4 ekor anaknya yang lahir di taman ini. Mari kita saksikan bagaimana gajah-gajah Sumatera ini hidup dilestarikan dan juga memiliki rumah yang baru.
Sebagai negara kepulauan terbesar di dunia yang dilintasi garis khatulistiwa, Indonesia dikaruniai kekayaan berlimpah baik flora dan fauna. Salah satu fauna yang berhabitat hanya di Indonesia adalah Elephas maximus sumatranus atau gajah Sumatera. Gajah Sumatera tersebar di beberapa provinsi di Pulau Sumatera, di antaranya Aceh, Sumatera Utara, Jambi, Riau, dan Lampung. Menurut data Forum Konservasi Gajah Indonesia (FKGI), populasi gajah Sumatera tercatat sekitar 4.800 hingga 5.000 ekor di tahun 1980-an. Kemudian populasinya menurun menjadi sekitar 2.800 ekor di tahun 1990-an. Dan di tahun 2016, gajah Sumatera tersisa sekitar 1.724 ekor. Di Indonesia, gajah Sumatera merupakan satwa dilindungi. Keberadaannya diatur dalam Undang-Undang Nomor 5 Tahun 1990 tentang konservasi sumber daya alam hayati dan ekosistemnya, serta Peraturan Pemerintah PP 7 Tahun 1999 tentang pengawetan jenis tumbuhan dan satwa. Walaupun dipayungi undang-undang, populasi gajah terus menyusut secara signifikan. Lembaga Konservasi Dunia (IUCN) bahkan menetapkan satwa endemik Indonesia ini berstatus kritis. Laporan dari World Wide Fund (WWF), ancaman utama bagi gajah Sumatera adalah hilangnya habitat mereka akibat deforestasi, kebakaran hutan, dan perburuan. Satu dekade terakhir, ada 129 gajah yang dibunuh di Sumatera. Sebanyak 59% kematian diakibatkan diracun, dan 5% lainnya dibunuh menggunakan senjata api. Berbagai upaya dilakukan pemerintah dan pihak swasta untuk melestarikan keberadaan gajah. Dalam beberapa tahun terakhir, pemerintah melalui Kementerian Lingkungan Hidup dan Kehutanan mendirikan pusat konservasi gajah yang tersebar di Pulau Sumatera. Salah satunya Taman Nasional Waikambas Lampung. Di konservasi inilah, gajah Sumatera diharapkan dapat lebih jinak dan populasinya terus berkembang biak dengan baik.
Ya, saya sekarang akan berjumpa dengan Nigel Mason, pendiri dari Mason Elephant Park Lodge ini. Yuk, mari kita ketemu dengan orangnya. Sedang memandikan gajah-gajahnya. Hai Nigel. Hai.
Hey, how are you? Desi.
Hi, how are you? What are you doing? Who are you giving a bath to?
Morning, man. This is our first baby that was born here. This is Jigeg.
This is Jigeg.
Yeah.
Hello Jigeg. Apa kabar?
I'll hand this over to the guys. There you go.
And this is,
sorry.
who do we have here?
That's Tagore, one of our big male elephants. He's very beautiful elephant.
Big
Tusks. Yeah,
Big tusks.
really lovely. Yeah. But he's very gentle, very nice elephant.
So how old is he?
He's well into his 30s, so he's quite a big boy,
And
as you can see.
who do we have here?
Melanie.
This is
Melanie. Yeah, that's Melanie. Melanie is one of the first elephants that came to the park back in 1997. So she's one of the originals. She's not a big elephant. She's quite a small lady, but very nice.
She's
very
a beautiful
nice.
elephant.
It's beautiful.
So
Very, very classy.
Melanie Jageg, baby Jageg, who is now how old?
She's 8 years old,
8 years
almost
old.
9. Yes, 9 years coming up
And Tagbo.
Tagore,
Oh, Tagore.
Tagore, yeah.
Who is a big fellow.
to. He's a big fella.
Now, Nigel Mason, I mean, dia adalah pendiri atau founder dari Mason Elephant Park Lodge ini. Ini sudah didirikan sejak tahun. When was this built?
We
the park?
started in 1997 and slowly built the park to what it is today. We're still, doing things, and as the money comes in, we improve for the elephants, for the guests, etc. So we're now just coming up to 20 years.
Wow, 1997. Jadi sudah 20 tahun ini pertama kali didirikannya. And Nigel, you're Australian.
Australian, yeah. Actually, I'm English born, but lived in Australia for many years. Yeah.
Tapi bisa bahasa Indonesia dong.
Oh, sedikit-sedikit.
Sedikit-sedikit.
Malas sekali.
Malas sekali. Dengan gajah bicara bahasa apa? Bahasa tubuh.
Indonesia. Campur juga.
Okay, Nigel, in this elephant park, what do we have here? How many elephants? And what can we learn about the
Okay,
park?
well, the elephant park was set up originally just to save some elephants. We started off saving 9 elephants, and we saved a few more, and then we saved the final 10 we rescued in 2004, where we made the movie Operation Jumbo, which is a nice movie to watch, by the way. It was set up to rescue them, but we soon realised that keeping elephants was very expensive. It's not an easy thing to do. They're very destructive. They're very large.
Very big.
They eat a lot of
They
food.
must eat a lot.
250 kilos a day. So we had to turn it into a business that was self-supporting. So we then developed the Elephant Safari Park, which now has become the Mason Elephant Park. And
how many do you have now?
We now have 31 elephants.
31
27 rescued. And 4 babies born here, of which Jigeg was the first.
Wow, jadi 27 ya yang diselamatkan, 4 lahir di sini. And how big has the park grown?
Well, we started off with about 2.5 hectares. We now just purchased a little bit more land, and that brings us up to 4 hectares now.
And how many elephants can this park accommodate? Say,
Well, we could probably accommodate another 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen maximum. Then we would have to expand out more. But it's a good amount at the moment. I'm quite happy with the 31 elephants, pretty good. But of course, we're always trying to breed the babies, breed for more babies. We'd love to have some more babies because they're very cute when they're little. When they're this size, they're fantastic.
they're nice and chubby. But tell me a little bit about the beginnings of it. Now, you said you rescued elephants. I mean, Melanie was one of the original elephants that you came here. Where did she come from, and what do you mean when you rescued her?
Well,
what was happening with?
Okay, rescuing, when we say rescue, we didn't go to the jungle and take these elephants. Let's make that clear. They were already displaced from the jungle because in Sumatra there's been a lot of oil plantations, oil palm plantations, acacia tree plantations for paper. In fact, we have in Sumatra the biggest paper mill in the world, so it's a very big business up there. So unfortunately, the elephants slowly are being displaced from the jungle as deforestation takes over. So these animals become a pest, if you want to call them that, because they're trying to get back on their own land, which is no longer there, and they find oil plantations, they say, this is all right, we'll eat these, no problem, and of course then they come in conflict with the people. So the government would come in and save the elephants so that they're not killed because they'll get poisoned or shot or something. So they rescue them, put them into these, they call them training camps, but they're not exactly training camps. The elephants are chained up literally all day, and it's a very bad existence, and they didn't live very long there. So to rescue them, what we did is to bring them to Bali for a number of reasons. One, of course, to save them, and the second reason was to try and make more awareness about the Indonesian elephant, which is a very exclusively different species to any other elephant in the world. It's the smallest Asian elephant. It's only found on the island of Sumatra, and it's a very beautiful elephant, very peaceful, calm elephant, unlike African elephants, which you wouldn't be standing around them like this. They'd probably smash your head off. So beautiful.
Tell us about Melanie, because Melanie is one of the first ones that arrived here. So what condition did you find her in?
Oh,
and if you
very.
had left her wherever
She would be dead now.
she was?
Let's make that clear. All these elephants would now be dead. The lifespan in those camps was something between 2 to 7 years.
Why?
Because not enough money there to support them, no medicine, inadequate food, and often very, very polluted water. So, you know, the combination of all those things made it very difficult to keep these elephants. Plus, of course, the elephants being chained up all day, they're getting no exercise, their body starts to break down. Of course, they were very, very skinny. I mean, when she came, all her ribs here, you can see all her ribs. She was, a very unhealthy elephant. But now, and when they're rescued, they stand differently. See how she's standing quite proud? When they're rescued, they sort of hang like this all the time. That's their position. Very, very different posture to a healthy elephant. Yeah.
But she looks very healthy now.
Oh, she's very healthy.
20 years
beautiful.
later, and she's still
going
thriving.
strong. Yeah,
So,
she's a sweetheart.
what was the rescue process like? Did you have to ask for government permission?
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, it couldn't have been easy bringing
No.
an elephant all the way from Sumatra to
And
Bali.
it got harder. To start off with, it was relatively easy because they were at Waikambas, which is at the bottom end of Sumatra, which was fairly easy. Still, it was a long trip, 4 to 5 days on the road, non-stop in trucks, crossing 3 islands. Not easy. They can't come off the truck. They have to stay on the truck for
But
that time.
did you have to buy her, or did you have to?
Yes,
how did
we
you
had
acquire
to. We
her?
had to negotiate with the forestry department, and that had to be then cleared by the minister, who signs off, and we then take over. The elephant will always be owned by Indonesia because it's a protected species. So we are the custodians of them, if you like to say.
But why did they give it? I mean,
Why don't they just
presumably
give
in
them to us?
90. No, I mean, why did they hand it over? Because presumably in '97, you didn't have the park yet,
No.
or you were? I mean, did they
It was-
ask you what you're going to do with it?
Well,
or-
they asked us, of course, and we said we were going to bring them to Bali, and we were going to create a sanctuary here for them in Bali. At that stage, nobody really cared because they were really a nuisance and they were costing money to keep.
And
they
also
were,
97, if you remember.
97 was
98,
very different.
Reformasi,
Very
and-
different then.
yeah.
So nobody really cared. As time has gone on, of course, the government has become more involved and more caring. The last 10 elephants we bought was much more difficult than the first 10 elephants, not just because of bureaucracy and that, but also because we had to go further to get them. Now the problem was no longer in Waikambas, the problem was in Riau province,
Yes.
which is much further into Sumatra. So the last 10 were quite difficult to organise and quite difficult to bring down because of the longer distance. And Riau is a bit of a wild province compared to Waikambas. We had a few problems.
Yes, or Lampung is easier to cross.
Yes.
So you brought the first time you brought all 9 at the same time,
Yes,
or
all-
one at a
all
time?
the time.
All 9
Convoy of trucks. One truck going
By
ahead
land?
by land.
on the ferry.
Ferries, yeah.
How
we
long
had
did it take you?
Oh, it took 4 days.
Was it hard? I mean, how did they? Were they hungry, stressed out?
Well, they
or-
were very sick elephants, so obviously we were very worried bringing them down. We had to choose elephants that would be able to make the trip, of course. We had to make sure that they were going to be able to stand up for 4 days, not fall over in the truck, otherwise they would die. So we had one truck that went ahead, which would find food and water, radio controlled, and then we would follow them, stop for water, stop for food, to load in and keep
And
going.
did you already have the land then in Bali to bring them
yes,
into?
yes.
So you actually already specifically
Yeah, it
bought
was
the,
already organised,
the land.
yeah,
With, you're married with an Indonesian
My
wife.
wife Yanni, yes, who is somewhere around. We'll see
Yes.
her later maybe.
No, but,
Yes.
but tell me, because you're probably like the Steve Irwin of the elephants. But tell me, what's your background with elephants? I mean,
No,
what's your
actually, I had
story and your passion? I mean, how did you end up
How do I end up with elephants?
rescuing elephants?
Look, I'd lived in Indonesia for quite some years before this. We had the company Bali Adventure Tours, which is now Mason Adventures. And so I'd been involved in rafting, started the first company here in Bali, and a number of other things like
But
that.
no elephants.
But no elephants. This was really something that happened out of the blue. It wasn't planned. I didn't sort of say, oh, I'm going to go down to the elephants and make an elephant business. It just sort of happened. And
But what triggered it? What was the tipping point?
what triggered
Because
it was
this
when
is a
I
huge
saw
responsibility, a huge thing.
What triggered it was when I saw the elephants and how bad their condition was, and what was the future of them, where there seemed to be no future. Sort of broke my heart. I've always been an animal lover, and I've always had all sorts of animals in my life, everything you can think of. But it really broke my heart to see the conditions they're in. It was quite obvious they weren't going to live for very long. So this seemed to be like a good idea to bring them to Bali. To be honest, when I came to Indonesia, I didn't even know Indonesia had an elephant. It was news to me. So I was discovering elephants and they discovered me, so we sort of both discovered each other together, at the same time.
We do. We have, and often we forget that we have elephants because it's, there's always all these horror stories of, like you said, conflicts between people and elephants, and elephants always getting the raw end of the deal. They get poisoned, they get, they're poached, they're tusked, and they're trapped, and
it's still going on.
Yes, it's something that me also as an animal lover. It's nice to see healthy elephants, happy elephants. But so when Melanie and her friends came over here, so what was the next stage? How do you rehabilitate them and make sure that
the next
give them
stage
the proper care?
It was quite complicated. We brought some mahouts from Sumatra with us.
The mahouts are the people who look
after the elephants, like the guys here. It's one of our mahouts. And we then had to untrain the mahouts. And
why?
Because they had learnt from Thai people how to train elephants, which was using very, very brutal methods. So we said that's not going to happen here.
Well, what sort of method when we talk
about hitting them, smashing them. Many of our elephants will have scars. She doesn't have so much, but some of the male elephants have scars on their heads. Some of them have scars around their legs from being tied permanently up. So we had to undo that damage, and the first thing to do was to train the mahouts to a new system of training, and that was quite hard because some of them just didn't want to.
How do you do that? I mean, you yourself.
Yes, I was involved, and I had a guy down from Sumatra who was quite easy to get on with. I managed to convince him that we were going to do it a different way. We were not going to use beating and bashing and scaring the elephants to train them. We'd use, the system that we would train a dog with. It's like, repetition and reward and this sort of thing. Of course, originally they were not convinced that would work. They were quite convinced it wouldn't work, but it did. But it took longer, and slowly we undid the damage that had been done to them in the captivity that they'd been living in for that time. Most of them were very scared, very freaked out, extremely skinny and unhealthy. So it took quite some time to get them up to health.
How long did it take them to?
A year to a year and a half to get them up to what we felt was that. And the training took more than a year too. Depended on the elephants. Some elephants took more to it than others. Some were easier to do because we didn't know what background they came from, Desi. We didn't know what had happened to them before. So some were more freaked out than others.
Now, Nigel, obviously it takes special skill, expertise to look after animals like this. Do you have as the number of elephants grew, do you have sort of like an army of staff that really?
Yes,
I mean, how?
Absolutely.
What are the main sort of things that you have to basically?
Well, of course,
have to care for
when
them.
you have elephants, they are very destructive. So you have to design the place so that they can't destroy everything. Because these gardens would last, maybe 2 or 3 nights. They would destroy everything.
They would just uproot.
They would uproot and smash everything. So we had to put in fences and barriers and things to keep the people safe from the elephants, especially in the early days when they were still being trained. And we had to develop different systems of how to keep the place clean, how to make sure that the place didn't smell, because most people think of animals, it's going to stink, So that was very important, and of course train a whole village on how to be involved with the park. I mean, Taro village was quite a poor village, and what we did is we created a system where we worked together with the village. For instance, all the food that this comes in every day is like a cooperative we developed with the village.
So what do they eat exactly, and where does the food come from?
It comes from all over Bali, but it's collected by the village, who then on-sell it to us. This you're seeing on here is chopped up coconut leaf.
Oh,
But they
okay.
eat also, there's a bit of
Is that their
cassava.
favourite food? or-
That's their favourite. That's probably about 40% of their diet. But they also eat a lot of other things: vegetables, fruits, elephant grass, rice, bananas, banana trees. You know, you name it, they eat it. Anything's green, they eat it.
You have to keep them, you know, eating all the time, otherwise
Yeah.
they'll be uprooting the trees. and-
Well, they never stop eating. Even when they're full, they'll still keep eating. It's just that's what elephants do.
So how many people do you have to help you look after the
We have-
30, is it now 31 elephants you
We have
here?
31 elephants. We have about 45 mahuts, allowing for days off, sick days, holidays, etc. We also have a very large cleaning staff. Then we have a big staff of gardeners, and of course restaurants and cleaners. So we've got about 160 to 170 people here at the park.
So it's grown, I mean, from
Oh, yeah.
initially, how,
Oh,
many,
yes.
how many people?
Oh, when
just
we first started, about 25 people.
Presumably also have vets on hand
We
to
have
make
vets
sure
on
that
hand,
they're-
yes, everything here. We have, and our vet is over there now, as a matter of fact. They come up twice a week, and are here instantly if they're needed on call. So if we got a problem with an elephant, we can bring them up in 1 hour.
Now, Jageg was born in this park 8 years
Yeah.
ago. How did it feel when you had your first
Oh, it was
baby?
very exciting. Very exciting.
What does it prove? What does it mean? Does it
Well,
mean that
it
they're
means-
well settled?
It means
happy,
that they're
and
happy elephants. They're
mating?
breeding naturally, and these were naturally born. This was an artificial insemination. So it shows the elephants are happy and comfortable in their environment. Otherwise, they won't breed.
Who are her parents?
Her
or his-
parents is Seng Wong, is her father, and her mother is, oh God, who is her mother? I'm
Is it
trying
the
to
first
think.
batch or the second batch? I mean,
No, she was the first. So Seng Wong is the father of all 4 babies. He's the most dominant elephant here. And we have the 4 different mothers, but 1 father.
but not this guy here.
No,
not
no,
Tagore.
he hasn't done anything yet, Tagore.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll like to
but
soon.
I think
He's
he's
ready.
going to be wow with all the
You've got to admit, to another elephant, he must look very handsome with
yeah.
his amazing
And I
tusks.
can imagine if he's roaming in the wild, the poachers would be
These tusks will be gone.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they will be gone.
Tell me, Nigel, the elephant, the camps, and here, what are the big main difference
The
when
big
it comes
main-
to looking after
The big
welfare
main
of
difference
the elephant?
is that the elephant camps didn't look like this. They were desolate. We have actually photos up in our gallery if you want to have a look. But they were totally desolate. Nothing, no trees, no grass, just dirt. Plus, the forest up there was burning. So the whole area,
area. You're on TV, you better behave.
the whole area was covered in smoke. So it was down, and their water supply was like a mud hole. Very different to this. Here you can see everything's green. We created this. This was actually empty rice paddy. So everything you see here we planted over the last 20 years. So it's sort of an ongoing thing. We're always adding trees and changing the gardens to make them more shady, cooler, etc. But I mean, we chose Taro because of that. We're 2,000 feet above sea level. It's cooler here, about 6 degrees cooler than the coast. And we get a
Yeah,
lot more rain here, as you can see.
Yeah, like now. It's
So it's
been raining.
perfect for the elephants. So this
So-
was chosen elephants with the first preference. Guests had to come up here the hard way. In the old days, the road was very broken and it was very difficult to get people to come up here. Today, we've become a little bit better known, so
Yeah,
obviously we get more
well,
people.
now, especially this area now, Ubud,
Yes.
it's very, very
He
crowded.
wants
with
my
tourists.
shoes.
But Nigel, in the beginning, were there problems like elephants getting sick or elephants getting out of control and
Well, in the first
getting
year-
sort of psychologically disturbed?
First year, yes, a lot of problems. We had to approach that very, very slowly, very gently, and slowly sort of work out how to look after elephants, because there was something we were all learning. Including the new mahouts that we brought from the village, because some of the Sumatran mahouts got homesick, they went back. We had a couple of them who didn't want to use our new technique of training, so they went back. So we had to sort of almost start from zero here. And we learnt along the way. It's a learning process. I knew nothing about elephants, so I spent my time in the library getting books and the internet, getting all the information I could. And of course, talking to a lot of people. I was very lucky that Mark Shand, who is an animal expert from London, he's unfortunately recently died. He spent some time here with me and he became a very good friend. And also Steve Irwin became a very good friend. He came to the park and loved it. In fact, he went up to Sumatra to have a look at the problem himself.
Oh, okay.
So,
so you've had some
we've had a lot of
celebrities
experts here,
come in,
and a lot of
experts,
celebrities,
yeah.
many celebrities. Yes.
But you mentioned very expensive, obviously. How? Tell me a little bit about the funding, both initially and how did it grow, and what did you do in order to basically finance this mammoth project of you?
Well, the truth is, Yanni, my wife Yanni, and I financed that ourselves.
In the beginning?
Yes, from our other businesses. We also took out a loan of about $500,000 with the bank. We brought them up here to see this devastated area, which it was to start with, and they sort of scratched their heads and said, "Are you joking?" But we managed to convince them. We borrowed enough money to get the basics in to start with, and then over the years we've just continued to put the money back into the park and invest in it. But literally the money came from us. And every time there's a problem in Indonesia, such as a volcano going off or a bomb, the rest of our company supports the park. This is always the priority. So we put our money into the park to make sure we keep the staff employed and the elephants fed and everything like that. So it's sort of our baby, if you want to look at it that way. We always have to look after it.
Now, people can come in, obviously, there's lots of tourists coming in and they can interact, they can ride the elephants. I mean, but tell me about it. How does it, sort of, you know, elephants, you're rescuing them, conserving them, but at the same time, they're also, you know, tourist attractions, you can ride them. So how do you balance sort of the needs of the welfare of the elephants and to make this sort of an interesting and pleasant experience for tourists? Because
Well,
especially since their past interactions with humans haven't been that great.
No, that's right. What we've always tried to do from day one is to pretty much follow the philosophy that Steve Irwin had, the same as me, whereas people could get up close and have a really animal experience, so they could, you know, touch them, hand feed them, and
they're okay with that. Elephants are okay
love
with
that. They have no problem with it whatsoever. Of course, there is always the animal activists who will say, "Oh, that's no good. Elephants shouldn't be touched by humans. They shouldn't do this."
They should be roaming in the wild.
That's right. Well, sure, absolutely. So they should, but what wild? That's the trouble, yeah. But no, we believe that animals like these need to be interacted with. That they don't want to just stand around all day doing nothing. They like to go on rides. It certainly doesn't hurt them. Like people are saying, "Oh, it hurts the elephant." No, it doesn't. We've got lots of padding, and the elephants take to it and they love it because it's part of their regime each day. It's like they're going to work. They go off, they do their rides, and it's only for a small amount of time through the day. It's not the whole day, that's for sure. And
they don't mind having people riding on their backs.
No, not at all. And you'll see they go into the lake here with people on them. They love it. They actually, I mean, if this elephant wasn't happy, we wouldn't be standing like this, Desi. We would be a long distance away from them. They've got to be happy to be able to get this close to them. So when people say they're not happy, that they've been treated brutally and that we've beaten them into submission, it's absolutely untrue. It's not true at all.
Would you get a lot of criticism?
Not a lot, but a little bit.
But who are they mainly from?
They're usually animal activist groups who really, England, mostly from England or Australia, and they're really people who are thinking emotionally rather than realistically. They don't know anything about it. They're not animal welfare people like us, they're animal activists. So their mentality is different to ours. So we know more about the elephants than they do, to be honest.
Well, what about feedback from particularly the local government and
Very
also...
Very good.
They come here often and they...
We are checked constantly by the forestry department from Indonesia.
And they're quite happy with what's happening?
We have to do reports on every elephant every week. Monthly reports are put in, 6 monthly, 1 yearly reports. We keep all that up so that we inform the government all the time what's wrong with them, how healthy they are, if they have an abscess or something that has to be operated on, diet, all that. It's all constantly followed because the government insists that we keep them informed of what the health of the elephants is.
What about, you know, a conservationist, you know, NGOs like World Wildlife Fund and all that?
Yes, we get some of those people through here, but...
Are they quite happy or...
Well, yes, I think most of them are happy if they're in animal welfare. It's the animal activists who are not involved in the welfare of animals who are the ones who don't really understand. people who are involved with animals, like people from zoos, people from groups where they're looking after animals and caring with animals day to day, they understand that there are compromises that have to be made in a captive situation. So we don't have any problem with that. And the Indonesian government here, also we've had, you know, President Megawati here on a few occasions. We get many of the ministers come here, and we get lots of celebrities.
So would you say they're much happier here than, say, being in a zoo?
Oh yes, much better. In a zoo, they're usually in a fairly small enclosure. Okay, they can walk around, but it's very restricted. They can't really walk the way they would walk in the jungle. This guy, if he was in the jungle, would be walking probably about 30 kilometres a day.
30 kilometres?
Yeah, searching for food. So he doesn't have to search for food here. We give it to him, as you can see.
But don't they get bored? I mean, do you not sort of, you know, the games or activities
Well,
that they...
the riding is something they love to do. We do, some of them do painting, things like that. And we've done different things over there. We're trying to sort of drift away from that because a lot of criticism, oh, you're making them do circus tricks. No, we don't. We've never made them do circus tricks. They do sometimes do things like cook a football or something like that. But they love it. They actually enjoy it. And you'll find that each elephant has a preference to either do it or not do it. And if they don't want to do it, we don't force them.
These elephants, they have different characters.
Very different. Very different.
How well do you know them?
Very well. I do now anyway, after 20 years.
They're like human beings, right?
Absolutely,
they have their
yeah.
own
I mean,
sort of
they're not
preferences.
like us. They're not thinking, oh, gee, I wish I'd go off and watch television or write a book or something. Their needs are a little bit more basic than that. They're mostly thinking food, and more food. But yes, they do have characters.
And they like to interact with each other. They're sort of like a group animal, right?
Well, yes, but we do have one problem with that here, is that these animals were all rescued from different areas to Sumatra.
Oh,
so it's not a group that grew up together, like a matriarchal group.
Yeah.
So some of them don't like each other.
Oh,
there are a few conflicts
Sounds like
amongst,
humans.
like, not just with the males, but with the females too. We've got a few females who don't like each other and that. So we learn their personality, and then we act accordingly. You know, those ones, we keep them separated. And if we put them together, we make sure they're going to have a conflict. Yeah.
Okay, this big guy here, Tagore.
Tagore, yeah.
How much is it to keep an elephant?
How much money?
How much money?
Oh my God! Well,
I mean,
250 kilos of food a day he eats. But that's not the cost. The cost is all the other things that go with it: the veterinary care, the muhuts, the cleaners, all the staff involved. All that goes into the upkeep of the park. So he is 1 out of 31. So all the costs of the park are divided up amongst 31 elephants, which gives you an idea of what it is. So it's many, many thousands of dollars a year.
Let's take a walk and
Sure,
take a look
sure.
around the park. So it's quite popular now, is it?
Very popular now, yes. We're seeing increasing amounts of people come here because of a number of reasons. Number one, that we've had a lot of celebrities here.
Well, let's take a look and see what
Sure.
they're up to. So a lot of the visitors here, are they locals or international?
Everything.
You're getting quite a...
Every nationality you can think of. We get a lot of Indonesians here now. Not in the early days, not, but now a lot of Indonesians, a lot of Asians as a whole, quite a few Chinese, but most of our guests are Australian, European, American. A lot of Americans we get here. Americans love elephants. Yeah. And they're
beautiful
Yeah.
animals. I mean,
and of course in America they don't have elephants.
well, they used to, right? They used
Well,
to have mammoths.
they've had mammoths. They've never had elephants. And Indonesia has only had elephants in Sumatra, not here in Bali. So something new.
You know, and people forget that Indonesia, we have our own elephants, not just in India, in
That's
Thailand.
right. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and these are examples of our Sumatran
this is
elephants.
the unique Sumatran elephant. 3 Asian elephants. One is the mainland of Asia, one is the Sri Lankan, and the other is the Sumatran. And this is the most critically endangered in the world.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the layout. I mean, we have what is this, an elephant
This
bath
is
here,
the
or the
lake.
swimming pool?
Yeah, this is the lake. All the elephants go in here at least twice a day to wash and play. They love to play in here, so you'll see them through the day in groups of 3 or 4 coming in and playing together. We can't put too many in at once or the water goes out.
And this is one of the things that people can do, you know,
Yes.
they interact with
We've
the
just finished
elephants.
now, but normally in the morning you'll see a lot of people here actually on the elephant, in the water, with the mahut, of course, enjoying, taking photos, etc., etc. Because, I mean, it's an age of selfies, isn't it? Everyone's a picture of an elephant.
So, Nigel, you enjoy doing this? Are you happy?
I love it. I love it. I mean, this is my passion. I do a lot of things in my life. I'm, Harley Davidson rider. I'm an avid gardener. All the gardens here I do personally. And I have a team of fantastic gardeners who work with me. I really love what I do. It's a nice life. Not my only thing I do, of course, but one of my favourite.
Okay,
That's the shade house over there. This is the interaction area here where the people can come and feed the elephants and enjoy them. And down there we have the baby elephant nursery.
Oh, the nursery!
Yeah.
They're so we can see them. Let's
that's the
walk quite
babies are
quickly.
down there at the moment. And of course behind us is the restaurant.
When the elephants gave birth? I mean, obviously, was it
Up in the, we used to not, this is a new building here. It's up the top there of the park. We have what we call our sick bay, where we've got any elephants who are sick, we put them into there. So they were all born there.
And they were given 24-hour maternal care? Were they assisted in the birth?
We have some beautiful footage of it, actually, Desi. Really beautiful footage of the, I think, in one particular birth, I think it was the third birth, went viral on the internet because we filmed it as it was being born. And it was really quite amazing because the elephant was actually born not breathing. And the mother kicked it and pulled its trunk and made it breathe.
Wow.
It's amazing. If you go into the internet, you can see that elephant birth in Bali. Really quite interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been watched by millions of people. So very famous birth.
Okay. So are we going to see the babies?
Yes.
or-
But let's go around this way. Don't walk through the mud. Bit muddy today, I'm afraid. We've had a lot of rain the last few days.
So this is the baby
This is the-
enclosure.
Yeah, this is the nursery. Of course, they're a bit outgrown, the nursery now. When they were little, they used to run around like crazy in here, play on their sort of toys and things. And in this little lake, they'd be in there with their mum, splashing around. It was really lovely to see. But they're a little bit big now. They're teenagers now, so they're...
Aww. Oh, look. It's so cute. Look at them. And these are who?
Well, that's we got here Jigeg again, and who else have we got here?
We've met Jigeg
Desi's come down here again. Whiskey.
Risky.
Ah, Risky.
Okay.
Okay, Risky.
So they're well cared for. They
All very well cared for here. This is their.
all
they love
healthy,
being here.
chubby.
Very well. You can see for yourself how
Eat a lot.
chubby and healthy they are. You can always tell an unhealthy elephant by its body. You know, their big ribs will show and things like this. These are extremely well-fed elephants. They never stop eating. That's coconut leaf they're eating.
Coconut. And this is who we have here?
This is one of our amazing team of vets.
Oh, dokter hewannya, Yudis. Apa kabar?
Baik Ibu,
Sudah lama di sini?
sudah sejak berdiri.
Sejak berdiri?
Ya,
Dari tahun 97,
97 ya.
Oke.
Ayah 97, saya dari 2006 sampai sekarang.
jadi
sudah
turun-temurun ya?
12 tahun saya di sini.
Memang pendidikannya
Iya,
dokter hewan.
iya.
Oke, let me ask him a few questions
Yeah,
ya
sure,
beberapa.
sure.
Jadi yang paling penting untuk kita ketahui menjaga supaya gajah itu sehat apa-apa saja Dokter Yudis?
Ya, dari kesehatan, jadi kita rutin seminggu 2 kali datang untuk general check up.
Apa-apa saja yang dicek?
Jadi ada fisiknya, postur, kemudian dari mata, apakah dia happy, jernih, sehat. Kemudian kita juga punya program jangka pendek, jangka panjang. Jadi program bulanan pemberian multivitamin, kemudian obat
Multivitaminnya apa-apa saja dan untuk apa saja?
multivitamin untuk mempertahankan kondisi tubuh, menambah daya tahan tubuh, memberikan obat cacing untuk kontrol cacing yang ada di dalam saluran gastrointestinalnya, kemudian vaksin tetanus untuk mencegah kalau terjadi luka atau apa, kemudian kita juga dalam waktu dekat ini sedang program untuk breedingnya.
Oh, breeding.
Ya.
Tapi breeding secara alami, ya.
Alami.
Itu programnya jadi seperti apa?
Jadi memperkenalkan, mencari betina-betina yang produktif, kemudian mencarikan pejantan yang tepat. Mudah-mudahan bisa menambah populasi gajah yang ada di sini.
Nah, ini selama Yudis ada di sini, ada kasus atau insiden di mana gajah sakit dan bagaimana penanganannya?
Kalau gajah sakit, karena sudah kita maintenance, sudah rutin kita lakukan pemeriksaan, tidak pernah terjadi kasus.
Jarang ya?
Ya.
Ada nggak penyakit yang memang khusus gajah yang derita itu? Saya lihat mungkin ada benjol-benjol atau itu.
Iya, itu umum pada gajah, ada abses, tapi di sini kita sudah tangani dengan maksimal, jadi tidak mengganggu dari aktivitas mereka.
Susah nggak untuk merawat?
Ya,
Ini ada 31 ekor di sini.
ya, jadi keberhasilan dokter tentu terkait dengan mahut, pawang, kemudian ada manajemen juga. Jadi kerjasama dari 3 elemen ini akan menghasilkan hasil yang jauh lebih bagus ketimbang dokter bekerja sendiri tanpa ada dukungan dari mahut dan manajemennya.
Jadi kalau ya selama ini babies ini kan ada 4 ekor ya, nggak ada masalah waktu mereka melahirkan itu.
Melahirkan mereka alami
ya.
Alami, jadi tidak ada masalah yang cukup berarti, lancar-lancar saja.
Lancar-lancar saja dan ini kelihatannya juga chubby, gemuk-gemuk deh. They must eat a lot. They must eat a lot. Well, Nigel, it's been an eye-opening experience, and maybe just because this is a different way of looking after, elephants, rescuing elephants. What sort of things would you sort of recommend to, whether it's to the Indonesian government or to zoos or to just our relationship with elephants? What is the best way for us? Because otherwise 10, 20, maybe 50 years from now, we're not going to have any more elephants in the wild.
Unfortunately, that's true. As I said before, the elephants in the wild are disappearing at an alarmingly fast rate. As a place to look after elephants, this we believe is as good as we can do. And we've taken a lot of trouble and a lot of expense to make sure this herd of elephants are happy and will live out a very happy life. Of course, they have to do a little bit of work, and there are some compromises, but that's something we've learnt over the last 20 years, how to do it and how to keep the park financially supported as well as everything else, because they are an expensive animal to look after. But for the government, my suggestion would be that they need to really seriously look at what's left of the jungle in Sumatra and try and maintain at least some elephants in the jungle still. I mean, once you get below a certain level and amount of elephants, it's no longer going to work. So it's something that needs to be done now quite quickly. These elephants will never return to the wild because there is nowhere for them to go. But the ones that are left there, the government has to think very seriously about what they're going to do to maintain. These are our responsibility as human beings on the planet, to look after these protected animals and to make sure that they survive into the future so we can all enjoy them. This park is a place to come and enjoy the animal close up, but it's not the answer to the problem of the elephants in the wild. So that's really what has to be approached. We're doing the best we can here, and I think what we're doing is as good as it gets. But out back in Sumatra, there needs to be some definite decisions made.
What should be done though? Because as jungles or forests get deforested, as plantations expanded, and conflicts between humans and the elephants themselves, obviously the lands belong to the elephants. What needs to be done? Because we see a lot of elephants getting poisoned,
Yes.
they're getting poached, they're getting killed, and
Still happening, yes.
how to
Well,
mitigate
there
that,
has
you
to
know?
be a compromise, obviously. Life is a compromise. This park is a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to work out ways to sustain the elephants in that environment. That means don't keep expanding the oil plantations. Don't keep expanding the acacia forests for paper. You know, give the elephants an area, and it needs to be a sustainable area. You can't leave a little piece here and a little piece here and a little piece there, because the elephants can't connect. It needs to be fairly large area, and that's what has to be thought about. There is one area in Sumatra which has been designated, but it's probably not enough. You know, need to think
And
about
there
what
has
else.
to be a greater sort of law enforcement against
Yes.
poachers and people
And people deforestate, you know,
and people who kill.
timber people and people who
The
kill them.
elephant.
But they don't kill the elephant normally just because it's there in the forest, unless they're ivory
destroy-
poachers. It's usually when the elephants come into conflict with people going onto their land to destroy, you know.
Because they do need a lot of land, they do need a lot of space to walk.
Well, they move around a lot. Elephants are continually moving in the wild looking for food. That's their life. Where's the food? When they go there, it's like, you know, where's the nearest McDonald's sort of thing, you know? They're searching for food the same as we do. Where's the best restaurant? And if they find a nice new plantation of oil palm trees, of course they're going to say, this is great, we'll go in here and eat all this. That's when the problems start.
Nah, Dr. Yudis, Anda sendiri kenapa menyukai gajah? Apa kira-kira yang ada dalam ya binatang ini yang membuat Yudis merasa bahwa wah ini
Ya.
profesi yang menyenangkan?
Ya, gajah ini satwa yang sangat unik. Jadi masing-masing gajah mereka punya kebiasaan yang berbeda. Seperti Ramona, dia suka seperti ini gayanya.
Masing-masing punya karakternya sendiri.
Betul,
Ya.
ya. Termasuk mereka mau ngambil dari kanan, dari kiri. Kemudian ada yang tadi takut dengan ngelihat dokter dia
Iya,
lari.
Ketika
Jadi-
Dokter Yudis datang seperti anak-anak mereka ngumpet ya. Harus dibujuk-bujuk dulu.
Iya,
It's
jadi
like kids, yeah.
jadi kalau mau melakukan injeksi harus ingat, wah ini yang takut dengan dokter, bagaimana kita bisa mendapat kesempatan untuk melakukan injeksi dari arah mana. Jadi cukup unik, tantangannya juga cukup bervariasi ininya.
They smell him
Yeah.
as soon as he comes in the gate. Hey,
Is-
the doctor's here.
Maybe is this why you love elephants? Is this why you have a
I think
special?
that's part
what's
of the
about,
beauty
what's
of
about
elephants.
elephants?
They're beautiful creatures. I mean, they're a very strange looking creature. They have this look that no other animal has, but they just have a beautiful personality. Their characters are unique. In a situation like this, you get to know every single one. And that's what I love about the elephants. They're really beautiful. But I want to see them here for the future, for my grandchildren to see, and
Absolutely.
other people's
And
grandchildren.
they have a right.
Yes.
They have a right
Right to
to
exist,
this planet
yes.
to exist as we do. And sometimes as
Absolutely.
humans, we're very selfish. We
We
take,
need a lot
take,
of
take.
space. Yeah.
We don't give,
Mhm.
and then we put our interests ahead of all the other creatures.
I'm afraid that happens a lot. And of course, the people in the cities who become, you know, critical of places like this or other places, they're really, they're completely unaware of the real situation. They're just thinking emotionally, oh, they should all be free in the jungle. And we would all agree with that, but there are problems on the planet.
Yeah.
These animals have big problems, along with a lot of other animals. Sumatra, for instance, it's not just the elephants, it's also the rhino, the orangutan, the gibbon, the other creatures there who are suffering as well. So, you know, it's a big problem that we have to take seriously if we really want to make
And
sure they're here
it's
for the
our loss.
future.
And not
Yes.
just in Indonesia, all
No,
over the
all
world.
over the world,
In Africa,
absolutely.
the number of elephants are diminishing. The poachers, you know.
Well, they're
people
down
still-
in Africa, they're down to the last 700,000. Here in Indonesia, we're down to our last 1,000 or so.
Wow.
That's a big difference.
Anyway, Nigel, we appreciate your efforts and the
Thanks.
work that you do, and it's nice to see lots of happy elephants and keep
lots
up
of
the good
happy
work.
guests
And
too.
yes, happy
Yeah,
guests.
the people love the elephants.
And,
yeah.
and it's a lovely thing to be able to interact. Of course, you know, ideally they should be out in the wild, but if there
Absolutely.
is no more wild, then I guess
What do
this
you
is
do? You know,
looking
as-
after them is the best that we can do.
Yes.
Terima kasih banyak
Thank you
Nigel.
very much. Lovely to
Sukses.
meet you,
Dan
Des.
Dr.
Ya,
Yudis.
terima kasih,
Terima
Ibu.
kasih. You know, gajah-gajahnya takut nih sama Dr. Yudis.
He does a good job. Absolutely, we can't do without them.
Iya, demikian insight kali ini langsung dari Mason Elephant Park Lodge, di mana di sini bisa ditemukan 31 gajah Sumatera. Perlu diingat, jumlah gajah Sumatera yang ada di Indonesia ini semakin lama semakin berkurang. 10 tahun terakhir ini saja lebih dari 100 gajah tewas, dibunuh, diracun memang untuk kepentingan manusia karena deforestasi, karena konflik antara binatang dan manusia. Mungkin kita harus ya memastikan bahwa masa depan gajah bisa dilestarikan karena binatang-binatang ini memiliki hak hidup yang sama seperti kita manusia-manusia. Jadi saya rasa itu yang perlu kita ingat. Sekali lagi, Insight with Desi Anwar langsung dari Bali, ya, Elephant Park.